completed without that PIN. Every customer should know that that PIN is your first line of defense. Nobody should know this PIN. Not your spouse, not your best friend, your best man, or nobody. That PIN is your PIN. The moment you share this PIN, you don't know who.
Electronic transactions and all of these issues. But I also want you to speak to a particular issue which both Stephen and Andrew have cleverly avoided. That is the fraud by the employees now, the inside people who see what we are doing, and they know that Kabushenga has 300 million on his mobile money account. How am I secure from those people? By the way, that was a joke about how much I have.
Thank you, Robert. And yes, I think I want to start by just appreciating the previous speakers. And for Uganda Bankers Association, maybe as point of information, we have a whole frauds and forgeries committee that has got representation of resource persons from the member banks. And by resource persons, I mean the people who are in charge of the prevention of fraud, the IT people, if it's to do with systems, the compliance people. So there's a whole committee that helps us or helps the industry in terms of telling us what the trends look like, what are some of the frauds that we are seeing or they are seeing that we need to take note of. And the frauds that have been reported through this committee are a range. There are quite a range of them. You have frauds ranging from check fraud. Someone presents a check that looks authentic. The signatures look authentic, but actually it's not authentic. There's nothing authentic about it. There are frauds in terms of cash theft, where, and this also has come out with the agent banking service, where you deposit money at an agent, you expect that it's going to go to your account, and it actually doesn't hit your account. Most times, and we've actually raised awareness among customers that once the system is down, you go to an agent and they say the system is down. Do not hand over the money and say you will deposit when the system comes back on. Just walk away and then come back and check if that system is back on. There's an element, we are very trusting as humans. I might have seen Robert for the last 10 years in one location. So I know Robert, I know where he lives, I know his family. So if I leave my money with Robert, he's an agent, I am almost certain that it will hit. So there's that overly trusting.
Patricia, as Ugandan, say, you repeat it again. Yeah, because it's very typical behavior. It's not just with agents, not agent bankers only, but also the mobile money people. Yes. That you go there and they tell you the system is down, but I will send when it comes. So just give that advice again.
Yes. Yeah, the advice that we are saying is, as humans, not even Ugandans, as humans, we have an element of being overly trusting to the people around us. Because we have lived and stayed with the people around us for many, many years, we don't think that anything bad can actually be done by this person. So that's why we have that fraud where you deposit money at an agent and it actually doesn't hit your account, but you left it there. But also, within the institutions themselves, there are times when you've deposited money through a teller, for example, and there's a delay in it actually hitting your account. And of course, that's what you're talking about internally. How are we starting to address some of these things that are coming up? And it's all to do with have these systems in place that try to prevent, what's the word? Try to entice, you know, usually when a fraud is about to happen, there are teller signs. Mm-hmm. For example, you might have an employee who has been earning 1 million shillings. And they've been living a modest life, but in 2 months, they've driven in a big car, they've gone on vacation, and you're wondering, where has that come from?
They go on Twitter and post that I have gone to Maldives.
Yeah.
How do you go to Maldives on 1 million shillings?
So there are some of those teller signs that we encourage and talk to staff. The institutions themselves have systems in place for capacity building, education, literacy is continuous. It's not a one-day kind of activity. It's a continuous thing. Learning is continuous, and it's important that we continue to create some of these avenues, also internally, but also externally, to support customers, but also the staff within our respective institutions.
Kenneth, I want to put you on the spot, but I'll give you time to think, because, you know, I know you're not directly responsible for this, but it's an issue that you are the only government person here. So now we are going to come to you. Yeah, because it's important. One of the things I find inexplicable is that these people who are carrying out these frauds, these so-called Bafere, Sempa's friends, they're using actual phone lines, numbers. Why is it that the authorities, after we've made so much noise and said this number called me or this one tried to call me, we put the number. Nobody shuts down those numbers or tracks them down to find out why these people are engaging in this activity. But if you use a certain number and you make some political statement, they collect you immediately without. So how come you can find those people, but these ones you can't find them? I just want you to reflect on that, because I want to just put a question directly to Sempa and just say, look, Martin, the part of the problem for me is that some of these transactions and these things are alien to our people. Alien in the sense that a lot of the people who work on these electronic systems of transferring money, whether it's agency banking or they're modest people in terms of exposure and education. And yet these are highly sophisticated systems that they're operating on. Beyond just us, shouting, me and you screaming aloud, what else can be done? You talked about financial literacy. What can be done to bridge that gap and bring, because we're having people living in the 19th century dealing with 21st century technologies. I mean, how can they secure themselves? That's really my question. What more can we do? I mean, I've just asked you, what is PIN in full? How many people around the rural parts of Uganda know what a PIN is? You tell a person, maybe I'm wrong, but how many people in Zombo will know a hash or how to use all these passwords? I'm not sure. I'm just asking, is our society at that level, and how can we bring it there? Martin, this is for you. I'm not asking other people. It's just you are the only doctor on this table.
Thank you, Robert. And I thank everybody who has shared. It's very stimulating, and it's a subject that I'm growing in passion with. First, we have UPE, Universal Primary Education, and Bonaba Some. Telephones are for everybody. They have come, and every day new people get telephones. And as you also heard, fraudsters every day come up with a new trick. So you have this kappa egoba type situation that every day they are coming up with new trick. I think we need to be continuous education. We need to partner. I think what I see here is happening. When I was on the ground, the question you asked was asked me by a fellow in Chambogo. How can these companies with all this technology, they can even know where you are when you make a political statement. How can they leave that person to call me again and again? They steal this one, they steal this one, they steal that one. Why don't they organize themselves together? So in observing, to me, as I worked on this, there was a need to recognize that we actually have a problem that all of us need to work together. There's law enforcement, there is community education, there is lawmakers, there is implementers, but we were not having the choir singing the same song. So I think as we go forward, what we are doing here, this choir, being given, everybody to give a voice, take it forward, community mobilizers like me who are on the ground.
And me, the choir master.
And you, the choir master on that side. I think working together, I don't think this is going away. If you recall, when computers came in, we started a new problem of viruses.
Yeah.
And you would think that a virus, only comes and goes. But now, for most people, they need to keep upgrading, system upgrade, whether it is a phone, whether it's a computer. And you have new companies, Norton and others, and every day they keep upgrading to protect people and keep them safe. I think each new technology, way of transmitting funds that has digital money has come, it will not go away. And in the same way, part of the challenge of keeping it afloat is the necessity to have enough education by the people so that they are empowered to keep their pins. Kweka pinio, whether your wife, that issue of husband, that one I will not touch, Robert. Show me your love by showing me your pin. That one I will not touch. It's an emergent issue. But I think the necessity for us to go forward to educate.
Martin, you will be surprised what love has become these days. But we shall organize a different conversation. I will tell you when we are ready for that conversation. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the second one is also getting our technology to be robust. Some of the people also, when I was out, kept saying, but how do they know my balance? That is the thing. If somebody can trick you, we've heard that part, they use emotional manipulation, excitement, but then someone can know a piece of truth upon which they mount a lie.
Yeah.
So for them...
Which then forces you to disclose further facts.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they were saying, but how does this person know my balance? There must be someone inside there. So for me to explain to them on this issue, part of it was like, it's not only in Uganda. I got to learn that this is not only in Uganda. It's also in Ghana. It's also in Kenya. It's also in other areas where they are serving.
I saw a photograph of guys in China, and they had a room, and they had 14,000 phones. And they were using them to do those kinds of things that you're talking about. Yeah.
Chinese. So people are asking, how do they know the balance? And for me to try and explain to them that in the integration, and I don't really know, I can't explain it now, but the way I try to bring it to the local person,
yes,
I was saying that, look, as we all become connected to this digital technology,
true,
some people have found a way to find your balance.
Yeah.
But as long as they do not know your mobile PIN number, they can't access that. So just prepare yourself that somebody will call you like a magician and tell you, I know your balance. So that inoculation helped them to get, but they still remain, hey, but how did they know? So anyway.
But you see, you talked about viruses, and I don't know if anyone here is a techie, but also people a lot of Ugandans, let me put it that way, a lot of Ugandans spend a lot of time on social media platforms and suspect websites that provide Trojans for hackers. I don't know who wants to speak to that issue. Kenneth, do you feel sufficiently... because I gave you a task. So maybe I'll shelve that question about hackers and people who come in through Trojans and let you address two issues. The first one, which I gave you, but also how this fraud provides an opportunity for money laundering, which is, now that one is your problem, not mine, but the other one of failure to apprehend, because you remember, I don't know who remembers, there's a time Richard and Andrew, you forced us to register our phones. We stood in lines. We got national IDs. They photographed me 5 times. First at Lugogo, then I went to Kololo, then I went I don't know where. And then up to today, we still have unregistered lines being used to commit these types of crimes. Where are we on that? So Kenneth, I'm with you now. So you take it over.
Thank you, Robert. The first question was, why do we have some of these numbers which are registered being used to commit fraud? I'll give you one simple illustration. Most of the numbers which are used to by most of these fraudsters, when we follow through and try to investigate and find out what is the problem, you find these numbers they belong to people who died probably 3 or 4 years ago. Somebody died, but his or her number is still alive. Now, these fraudsters, I have been told in the market such a line of a dead person goes to the tune of close to 1 million, and they have them. So any opportunity they get to access somebody else's account.
I was looking for a business line. Now, now I know why I should attend many funerals, because
you will realize that most of these fraudsters, let's say immediately somebody takes over somebody's account, they transfer funds to several mobile numbers. When you go to look into these numbers, you find they are mostly for people who died 3, 4, 5 years ago. And somebody is using those numbers for basically mobile money. They do not call out, they do not send a message, but it's only for mobile money transaction. Immediately they transfer funds to such numbers, they withdraw the monies. Now, the investigations will definitely hit a dead end. They will find somebody is dead. You cannot tell who is using this number at the moment. That is one scenario where investigations go cold. Another one is the majority of the numbers which are being used to commit such frauds, they are not registered in their names. Somebody has 10 or 15 numbers registered in other people's names. Now, they used to commit fraud. When you go to look at the demographic factors, who are the owners of these numbers? You will find some elderly woman in Kisoro. You find some old man in Namisindwa, Busia. Now, the fraud took place in Kampala, but the number they used is registered in that elderly, in the name of an elderly person. You will be wondering, is this the elderly person who did what? Who actually orchestrated this fraud? The answer is no, because you find this elderly woman lost the number. It could have been stored by a grandchild, a son or daughter. The number is still active, but he's not even aware. Now, that's a big challenge which is actually happening around these mobile numbers. Now, yes, of course, the regulators need to come in, but also the mobile money operators also need to come in. If somebody died 3, 4 years, such a numbers should not still be active. There must be a way.
Wow. I mean, Kenneth, I am completely flabbergasted at the way you just describe it. That somebody, the grandchild steals and the phone goes. But shouldn't it be a red flag, even to the operators, that this line is used purely for money? It never calls, but when it comes to drawing money, it is very active. Shouldn't that be an issue?
Okay, thank you, Robert. Let me try to attempt to answer that.
Yeah.
This is a dual SIM market. I mean, it's either MTN or Airtel, by and large.
Yeah.
99%. So the fact remains, customers, probably 80% of the customers we have out there are holding 2 SIM cards. So, and I can tell you, their customers will tell you, when it comes to voice, I use this network. When it comes to mobile money, by and large.
No, I will confess. Previously, when my life was much better, I didn't need 2 SIM cards. Now I am dependent on minutes. So if I am calling an Airtel person, I must use an Airtel line. So I see the point you are making. Yeah.
Yes, but the other one is today you can do mobile money using your mobile app, not USSD. We also have the mobile app channel. So the mobile app channel allows you to even do your transaction on a tablet. So you may not necessarily be making calls because the SIM card, your mobile money application is seated on your tablet or
and
iPad,
and
for
it's
example.
Registered in your number.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly. So you find yourself hardly using it on voice. So there are those scenarios where
the customer is not necessarily operating it on the mobile device, but a tablet, yeah.
Andrew, can I just let Andrew speak?
Okay, thank you, Robert. I just wanted to supplement to what my colleague Richard has said, and also what Kenneth has said. When you investigate a lot of these phones that the Baferes are using to call, sometimes you find it is registered in the names of John Doe, for example. And when you trace and find John Doe, and both Airtel and MTN provide 100% support to the law enforcement agencies to trace these people. Many times you get these people, you find the numbers where they are registered, and the person doesn't even know that the number is registered in their name. Either they are pretending, or we don't know. Others tell you, yes, somebody paid me money to register a number. I don't remember who that person is. So there's an onus of due diligence or care from the customer's perspective. Now, on the behest of the regulator, a simple mechanism has been put in place, which I would like to educate the public and all our brothers and sisters to use. On any phone, if you dial *197#, follow the prompts. You'll enter your NIN number. It will show you how many numbers are registered on your national ID. If you don't,
are you saying that I may be seated here with an unknown to me, my ID has a number of SIMs registered under it?
we have seen it happen. We have seen it.
I am dialing. While you're talking, let me even dial and find out, because I may be sitting on a time bomb.
Yes, Robert, let me just follow up on Andrew. So UCC requires that you can hold up to 10 SIM cards on one network. So I can hold, as one individual, I can attach 10 SIM cards on my NIN, on MTN, and 10 on Airtel. So as an individual, I can hold 20 SIM cards.
Wow.
So yes, so it is possible that someone else could be holding a SIM card using your names. Yeah. So it's important to check on the 197.
Yes.
So you said it is star
197 hash.
Yes,
okay.
But
Andrew,
Robert,
had you finished yet? Go on.
I just want to two more things and I finish. But what is important to note is that there is no way this SIM card will be registered unless you were physically present. In many cases, people are registering lines and selling them to these Bafere. Now, secondly, there was an issue that had been raised on this panel earlier to say that there are unregistered numbers that are out there. I can testify that there is no single number that is not registered.
It is just not registered in the right names.
Or the person who has that number is not the
registered owner.
Is not the registered owner.
Or, as you said, died 3-4 years ago.
Correct.
Yeah.
So
and is operating from his grave.
Yes.
Yes.
So the onus is on all of us to please take care and check how many numbers are registered on your NIN. If you don't recognize any of those numbers, remove it immediately. But on the same 197, you can remove a number, or you can go to any of our shops and have it removed.
Okay.
Robert, just a quick one, no?
Yeah, I need to bring back Kenneth, because he's our government man, otherwise we
in its simplest form, I think customers should be encouraged to immediately contact the telecom providers in the event of loss. Because I think just 3 months ago, we might have seen the news where a couple was found in around Nansana with a sack of SIM cards. So
a what?
With a sack of SIM cards. So all those are opportunities that we can reduce.
What is anyone doing with a sack of SIM cards?
We do report on time.
Okay. Kenneth, back to you. You hadn't finished. So
thank you, moderator, once again. I had finished with this issue of SIM card. I wanted to bring in the aspect how we connect fraud and money laundering. In simple terms, if I may tell you what money laundering is basically refers to the process of making illegally obtained money, which we call dirty money, to appear legal or clean money. Now, illegally obtained money can be gotten from criminal activities like fraud. Fraud is one of them, amongst others, corruption, illicit wildlife crimes. But fraud is the biggest contributor, if I might say, in the current situation in Uganda. Somebody, through deception, as I have indicated, obtains money. He has taken over somebody's account and managed to transfer, let's say, 10 to 15 million. That is ill-gotten money. Now he has it in his hands. It is data. He is looking for ways of making it appear legal or clean. Now, that is now the connection between fraud and money laundering. Yeah. What is he doing? He's going to find a way of introducing it into the financial. He's already with it.
Yes.
Now he has to find avenues. He can go and deposit it on his bank account, decide maybe at Equity Bank.
Yeah.
Now the bank has received money which is dirty.
Yes.
And it is now on his what?
Account.
He has brought it into the financial system. He can deposit it on his legitimate mobile account. Now,
can I go with my cash to a mobile money agent and have it uploaded on my number?
Absolutely. And that's what happens every day.
Uh-huh.
There are limits, but some you can be able to deposit money on your account.
Yeah.
Now, this data money is getting into our financial system. Mm-hmm. When it gets into the financial system, that is what we call placement in money laundering terms. You've introduced that data money into the financial system through one of those two entry points. Now, after I've deposited it on my bank account, now I can even do an inter-account transfer. I can transfer it from my one account to another account which is in my names, or to another account in the names of Richard.
Right, right.
Here, I'm trying to create a series of layers to distance it, to hide from
its original data source.
Exactly.
So you have been washing it.
Now, that is what we call wash. You are actually washing it. Try to make it clean.
Right.
Now, if we move to the extreme end, that process is what we call layering. Mm-hmm. Now, from layering, you go to what we call integration. Mm-hmm. After I have transferred money or exchanged it into another currency, maybe dollars, I've made an inter-account transfer, I have, now I can access that money, buy a car, can access that money, buy a property. Now, this money is now seemingly looking very clean and legitimate. Actually, if you find me driving my car, you cannot tell that this money was from the fraud that I committed.
Yeah.
Now, that is exactly what we are seeing happening in real life.
Okay.
Yes.
So, how can an ordinary, Ugandan know, or what are the things that show me that I could be a victim of a money laundering operation? And what is it that I need to do as a responsible citizen?
Okay. Money laundering is real and it's happening. It's a very serious issue, and we are actually all victims. And if we all allow this crime to continue thriving in our country, definitely it has devastating effects. And it is the responsibility of every Ugandan to be vigilant and report any unusual or any red flag related to money laundering. However, it's not easy for an individual to spot red flags of money laundering. What you will only see will be red flags of these crimes which are committed to generate dirty money. Fraud, corruption, illicit wire. You can spot them. Now, we call those predicate offenses. These crimes are committed to generate gains which are eventually. Now, once you've spotted such red flags, as a citizen, you are expected to report. One, to relevant authorities.
Yeah.
We have got institutions mandated to deal with some of these predicate offenses. For instance, general crimes where we bring in fraud, that such a matter can be reported to Uganda Police Force. Specifically the Criminal Investigation Directorate. If it is an issue concerning, let's say, corruption, you report to Inspectorate of Government. Issues concerning tax evasion, you report to Uganda Revenue Authority. Issues concerning illicit wildlife trade, you can report to Uganda Wildlife Authority. Now, importantly to note that even you can report to FIA. FIA has already established a collaborative mechanism with these law enforcement agencies in the fight against money laundering. So any case that is reported, any of these, and has some connotation, strong bearing on money laundering, and most cases they report to us as well, and we carry on with our investigation and eventually report accordingly.
But also, I guess, if you own a mobile money account, you should be mindful if either a friend or a relative or somebody comes and asks you to help them to transact large amounts of money on their behalf. You should know that I think it would be possible that you're also a culprit of money laundering. Patricia, I want to bring this question to you. Talk to your customers, of particularly banks. What is the advice you would give them to protect themselves from possible fraud, these kinds of things? But the one thing I've noticed is that even devices do automatically store your password accesses to some of these accounts. So advise your customers.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Robert. I think I'll start from the point of what's the responsibility of the customer in all this? And picking up from my brother from FIA and bringing it down to the level of the customer. As a customer, we also have a responsibility to monitor transactions that are happening on our respective accounts, whether it's mobile money, whether it's a bank account. We must always have the interest. I think I want to emphasize interest because just a few days ago, I was shocked to hear two people have a conversation and they're saying, when I go to draw money from my ATM, I don't even bother to check the balance. For them, their work is just withdraw the money and walk. And I said, really? You don't want to know what has happened behind? No, as long as there's money, I'm good. So we have a responsibility to want to know what's happening in your bank account. Whether it's at the end of the month, whether it's on a weekly basis, we choose. You decide and choose that I will be monitoring to see what happens, so that you're able to quickly pick up a suspicious deposit, for example, that has fallen in your account. You can usually pick it up at that point. But also, in terms of reporting, if you notice that there's a certain discrepancy in your account or in your mobile account, we've all had the speakers mention report, and the first point of contact is the service provider there. If it's suspicious on mobile money, you'll definitely go to a mobile money agency. If it's a suspicion on a bank account, you go to your respective relationship managers within the respective banks. And then, if they are not resolved at that point, there are escalation frameworks and controls that each institution has actually put in place. But for the customer, it's have the interest to want to know what's currently happening in your account. And we also share a lot of information. I was just listening to the previous speakers, I think you also mentioned something about we spend a lot of time on social media. Yeah. The hackers, the fraudsters are also as smart as we think we are. They can actually have a conference and they're actually discussing ways to improve.
They're actually smarter than many of us.
Ways to improve, ways to do something better. How can you do this better? You've introduced a new service. They're thinking ahead of us. So we also have to stay ahead of them in some way. So there's a lot of information we share as humans on social media. It's my child's birthday, I've posted. And we know fraudsters can just decide, what's the date of that? When did she post that? They just do the math, and it's a gamble game. You do the numbers, connect it to the child's birthday, and you're home. Try and error. Once the error is allowed, you're home.
Yeah.
So we also have to minimize how much information we can put out there. I know of people who save bank pin, ATM pins as numbers on their mobile phone.
Mm-hmm.
So all I need to do is steal your mobile phone and it's saved as Bank X. I will try that out.
Mm.
And if I'm successful, I will definitely.
We have also become cleverer. You save it as Uber driver.
But we shall still try.
Stephen, specifically, I would like you to talk to SIM card swapping.
Yeah.
What's that?
So, thank you, Robert. I think earlier on, Andrew mentioned something about the mobile money ecosystem and how we have grown from simple peer-to-peer, send and receive money, to actual banking using our mobile money, using our mobile SIM cards or mobile devices. So a SIM swap essentially means the change of a physical card from what you're holding to something that you may or may not have in the event of loss, in the event of damage, and many other factors. So what we've seen, again, due to the integrations and the different enablements that we are trying to do for our customers, is that a phone could be stolen, a phone could be lost, and then what happens is that the customer will, of course, notify, say, MTN and request for the blocking of their mobile money PIN. However, the extra leg that connects to the bank remains open in the event that they do not notify the bank to block any other services that are enabled through the SIM card. So what happens is that a swap would then avail a fraudster in the event that it is performed using, say, again, fraudulent KYC or unclear channels. It would enable the fraudster to perform transactions through the bank, although the mobile money may be protected at that point. So what MTN has done, to the extent that is possible, is to create technology that immediately suspends the mobile money PIN of a customer or of a SIM card when a swap happens. However, additionally, there's been enablements to the banks to deploy technology that suspends bank services that are registered on a SIM card in the event of a swap. So that is...
So what is a swap? When somebody moves the card to another device?
No, a swap is when a physical card is availed or replaced in the event of a loss, in the event of a damage.
Okay.
It's essentially to make services of one card available on the other, but corresponding to the same phone number that was attached earlier. So those are the two main things that have been done. Immediately, mobile money PIN gets suspended, so it cannot perform a mobile money transaction for up to 24 hours.
Yeah.
But also what has been done is to avail a platform to the banks such that they can have the same suspension of bank services in the event of a swap happening. So those are the two main things that are being done to reduce the likelihood of frauds arising from SIM swaps occurring.
Martin, what do you think? I mean, you've been engaging the public, and you obviously you don't own a telecom, so thankfully. So, but from interacting with people, what do you see as the ideal solutions that you would give advice to both Andrew and Richard and Stephen and say, this is how I think we can minimize, or based on my interactions, this is what the public thinks needs to be done. What, from your experience, would you advise?
Thank you, Robert. At Nakawa, across the university, the border. By the way, I found the border is quite helpful in intersecting between the different stratas of society, and they are early adopters everywhere I went.
They carry everybody, so that's the whole point. And
they also told me where the other side of the committee is, which I can't tell you now. The borders would come and whisper to me, the people you are fighting with, they are there.
So one of the things, they even rent offices.
They do. They rent offices in buildings.
Yeah.
They gather. It's a business for them
Yeah.
every day, and they keep coming up with new tricks. And they
Uh-huh.
make lots of money, just as we talked here. But amongst the things that I had was the pain of your customers when they are robbed. You know, it's extremely painful. I mean, we can talk statistics, but when you hear a mother who had just come to Kampala with her baby, a single mother, and then some guy kufered her, and then she lost all her money, she realized she had been duped. She stripped naked at Nakawa, and she just cried. Now, these are our people. These are our customers. Some of them are at university, some of them are local tomato sellers. The need to educate them is a critical part of what I see as an ongoing, continuous digital literacy. Digitization has come, but the literacy did not come automatically. So what I see is a continuous, they told me, Pastor, every day there is someone who is getting a new SIM card. So even if you have inoculated us, I sort of called my campaign the inoculation, so that the Bafere don't get you. They say, Pastor, even if you have immunized this one, there is a new person who is getting a SIM card tomorrow who is coming to Kampala. And they are new, and they know Kampala Sibizimbe. So there is need, what I see is an ongoing effort to educate those people. The second one is, I think, coordinating. And I like the fact that we have an inter-agency coordination. When I hear the complaints of the people there, they're like, really? We have the police here. They can get you. We have the technology, fear here. Why aren't they immediately getting that person? And I saw that there is also a need. You can all be there with the abilities, but being brought together. Earlier, after I finished this campaign, I went and I visited the new director of criminal investigation, Mr. Tom Magambo. We follow each other on Twitter, and I shared with him my findings, and he also shared his interest of working together. But also you could see there is need for bridge building to sit at the same table. So I feel like a second thing of helping that woman over there, that single mother, is interagency cooperation. Just as we had terrorism, okay, I think we have JAT. Now we have I don't have to call it terrorism, I'm sorry. But
well, it is. If your pocket is being terrorized, what is that? But there is for me there is one thing which I want to point out to both Richard and Andrew, that you have a crisis of trust and credibility. And here's what I mean. When you are selling us these services, when you are attracting us to be your customers, there is a new phrase which I have learned, which salespeople are using nowadays. It's called onboarding. I don't know where you guys get this language from. When you're onboarding us, it's like a love affair. You're wooing us every day with all sorts of incentives. But when we have a problem and we come to report it, it is the most painful thing I have watched, at least where I follow it on social media. Somebody complains that I have suffered this problem or this fraud, and the immediate reaction is, please call this number and file your complaint and we'll get back to you. And then you take 48 hours or more to get back to me, and yet when you are selling me your service to onboard me, you are calling me every 3 minutes. So, yeah, so why is it that you're very defensive when it comes to your customers suffering these problems? There is almost zero engagement, and yet when you are selling us the service, you are literally in my bedroom. So can you just talk to that, both of you?
Okay, thank you, Robert, and I'll go first on that one, if you may, Richard. Robert, I wouldn't say that we are defensive. What I would like to say, number one, is we've invested heavily in awareness, in sensitization. Currently, we both have campaigns running on TV, on SMS. Actually, customers complain that we over-communicate on SMS in regards to fraud, securing your PIN,
No, but
and the
Andrew,
like.
Andrew, I'll tell you this. I mean, I have personally, I have complained, and I'm talking about
Yes.
the time when I was still a big man. I complained about a number which was definitely trying to defraud.
Yes.
And I got the same thing. Okay, can you file a complaint? Do it like this. And I even knew the MD at that time. It's the last time I heard of it.
Yes. So,
So
what
why is there is this aggressive? But why aren't you engaging me on the actual? Explain to me why you're unable to do anything about the lines that you control that are being used to abuse. At least minimum, if I have reported, block it.
Yes. So, Robert, what we are doing now is, one, we've created channels where customers can reach out to complain about these lines. We've gone as far as even opening up our Twitter handles. If you inbox Airtel and say this line is calling me and defrauding me, we block it. We immediately block those lines. But you also have a second line of defense where people call to say that this person has ferrated me and taken my money. What we do in such instances is we block that number, but we investigate. It may take some time because we also want to protect ourselves from the mufere calling us to ferra us. Okay? So it's a bit of a process that engages both parties. So if Pastor Sempa has sent, for example, money to me in error, or I have ferrated him, we will secure the funds, but we will do some basic investigations. Who is the recipient? Is it true that he's received this money in error? And if everything checks out, we actually support customers to reverse these funds.
And I must confess, I have done that a few times, and all the times I've complained, it has been reversed. So
Yes.
I am a witness of that one.
Yes. Because our industry heavily relies on trust, we want to maintain that trust. And we actually request the public to trust us in securing their funds. If you can reach out to Airtel or MTN in time, we will do everything within our control to be able to support the victim of the fraudsters and to also block those lines that are defrauding customers. But we don't stop there. We actually follow up these fraudsters. We provide all the information that is required to the police and the other investigating authorities, and we even prosecute the fraudsters.
So, Richard, here is an idea. Why don't we run a campaign? The media people are here, give them some money, and publish all numbers that have ever been used in Mufere and reported to you. Say, if anybody calls you on this number, is a Mufere. Would that work?
Okay, Robert. There's of course there's the other side of it.
Yes.
I mean,
If my
I'm
number
having-
turns
if
up
I'm
that
having
I am a
issues,
Mufere.
if I'm having issues with Robert, then I may just come and throw in Robert's number. There's the negative side of it, but I think Andrew has given it justice in terms of the response to your question. We have multiple channels of reporting these cases, but I think there's the last bit that Andrew talked about, reporting in time. I think most of the challenges we've got is the customer reports probably after 5 minutes. That's a lot of time. Once I defraud you, within seconds, they actually move that money to another account. As you trace, the other account has gone to another account, and then they take it out. But the quickest way in which these customers take out money is, I think, through cash withdrawals. And when you go to the agent tells you, no, but I served this is a legitimate transaction. But I think the message that we want to give customers out there is to report timely, immediately it happens. It could be your phone that has been stolen. Pick another friend's phone and quickly call. And we see how quickly we can block. Even if the funds have been taken, we'll still block that account. But also what we want to stress is that it is not us that will go to police. it is the customer that should report the matter to police, because at that point now, investigation start. But what we commit to do is to cooperate with the authorities and provide the information. We also have, of course, data protection. We have, some of these guidelines in place. We will not just provide information about the fraudster without a court order, for example. There are certain processes we follow, and that's why you find, some of the customers frustrated and say, MTN or Airtel have refused to provide information about. But we are also protecting ourselves not to share customers' information without following the due process. So we have some processes we follow. An example is a court order. But getting a court order is not a problem. At least we'll have blocked the account. It's usually quick.
But
Yeah, so
Richard, you said two things which I'd like to follow up on and
Yeah.
for you to talk about. You've said there are processes through which we can report when these frauds happen. Can we take advantage of Martin's campaign? And now, yes, we've focused on empowering the customers with information. Can we now empower them to know where they can go to report? Because that, I don't know if I've seen such a campaign which tells me that if you're defrauded, do take the following steps. I don't think I've seen that. But would it be useful for you to do that? And also, number two, to just say, right, you can use a friend's phone, or you need to report to police, or even letting us know what are your constraints that stop you from acting quickly. Because now you've just said so, seems understandable, but nobody knows that you have constraints on your side. We just think you are being bad people, you don't want to help us, you're working with Ubafere, even you're Mufere, so the whole thing just becomes a cycle.
Yeah, so Robert, validly, so the quickest way to report is calling 100 toll-free, both Airtel and MTN. That's the toll-free line where the customer can quickly call in, and then we are able to block that other number that defrauded them. But we also have the social media channels, Twitter, where they're able to report. But that requires that you have a smartphone. But I think the quickest one is the 100 toll-free line that they should call in. And of course, immediate action that is taken is blocking the other number. But we are also keen not to just block mobile money, but even voice, because they are calling the other customers to defraud them. So we block the voice, outgoing calls, incoming, SMS, mobile money. We block everything and then take the other steps. If the funds have not been taken out, we will actually reverse. But in most cases, by the time these calls are made, the one has been taken out. But we still support the customer in terms of recovery. At that point, then, of course, they would have to report to police, and then we get following up in terms of arrests require getting caller data, CDRs, call them caller data records.
What about, again, this is for you and Andrew, what about a toll-free line or whatever it is, some digital method of me reporting to police? Instead of me, as I call you, I can also call police and say, by the way, yeah, Andrew, you want to?
Okay, I'll take that, Robert. Thank you very much. So, in the recent months, we have seen tighter collaboration between industry players. About 3 months ago, we made a presentation to the Uganda Bankers Association to say how can we work together to combat fraud, because fraud is now no longer just on Airtel Money or MTN mobile money, but it's now cutting across to mobile banking. We've also reached out to the regulators, both UCC, you've seen the beautiful campaign UCC has put together in collaboration with the providers, and we are open to this kind of dialogue with the various institutions. We are actually open to doing a toll-free line, so something like a fraud hotline. These are ideas that we would like to explore. The willingness is there. And I believe, together with Richard, we can quickly put this
because
framework in place.
I don't know if you know the frustration of filing a case at a police station. But by the time I finish that process, the Bafere will probably be in Usia by then. So what we're asking for, we're going technology. The way I file a complaint to you on 100, I should be able to do the same with police, and that is regarded as a complaint. I may go later on as a follow-up to say, I am the one who but can it be possible for me to file on phone and it is accepted, instead of me having to go to a physical police station? They may not even have paper for me to write a statement. So,
absolutely, Robert. That is it's very critical. We are now living in a world where we should use technology to relay, information such as that. So, we are working closely with the Uganda Police Directorate of CID. There are efforts that we've already begun exploring. We recently signed, a partnership agreement with the Uganda Bankers Association as an association of payment system providers. Now that, in essence, also enables us collectively engage with authorities like Uganda Police, and throw in those ideas of how do we digitally report some of these crimes that have taken place. So these are indeed very important initiatives that we need to collectively pursue. But also, most importantly, just to add, we find that these fraudsters are the same guys that are hitting the bank customers, but also mobile money. So what we're also going to do through this partnership that we've signed is putting together a centralized cybersecurity monitoring system that will enable us blacklist, such that any mufere that defrauds a bank customer does not go to mobile money, and vice versa, such that we are able to blacklist but also trace where they are using that single system. Because at the moment we all operate various platforms, but we're building that. We're going to build a platform where we shall have all that information captured for all the providers to have visibility of this.
I want to move a bit, and this is for Patricia and Martin. I want to move away from the sort of cyber world fraud and go to one that we all know. Martin, for you, it is people who are actually physically forced to do transactions. They come, they beat you up in the night, and they force you to either surrender your PIN number or actually just transfer your money off the phone or beat you. Then in the case of the banks, they go with you to the ATM. And some of the ATMs are now in places which are lonely. Let me put it that way. Let me not say scary, but there's no people there. So what advice do you give to people who are likely to face physical, for want of a better word, they beat you and then they force you to do transactions? How do people handle that?
Actually, one of my church members just had that experience. He went to get money to treat his wife. I mean, just a bad day.
Wow.
And they beat him up and they took all his money. So it's very sad. What I would encourage our people over there in terms of be alert, really. Be alert. We mentioned that this is like terrorism. Part of it as much technology as we can be able to do, but there is also personal responsibility that you have to take. You have to hide your PIN. You have to keep it a secret. Then also do not do transactions at a suspicious place.
Or even at night.
Even at night. Place is lonely. You see that this could be, there is a certain alertness you must have that something could be wrong here. So you get a sense, no, I'm not going to use that ATM, even if you have to take another trip. Sometimes it's your movements make them more circumspect. The truth is we've been a very peaceful country. That's the truth. We have been very peaceful. We move at night. I mean, 2 a.m., 3 a.m., you go do transactions, but there is a decay. There is a moral decay that's coming in. People wanting to take advantage and people wanting to take money which they should not. So I think you who is over there is need for personal responsibility, upping your personal skills in terms of protecting your money. It is your money, it is your life. The part about being beaten when they attack you at night, Really, that one I'm not able, apart from learning Kung Fu and increasing your bodyguard. But
And the prayer.
and fire in Jesus' name.
Okay. Patricia.
Maybe just to add to what Pastor Martin has said. Yes, be alert and cautious of the environment around you. We've had incidences within the banking sector where, and I'm sure some of us have noticed this, where you go to an ATM and there are people who hang around seemingly wanting to help you in case you are stuck with how to maneuver through that machine.
Actually, now that you are raising it, let me report to you, Uganda Bankers Association. Why does a security guard at an ATM think it is okay to come and help me do my transactions? Why are bank hired guards getting involved in my transaction at the ATM? And I have seen it numerous times, and I wonder, why is it your business? Surely, why a guard company? Why doesn't the guard remain outside when I am dealing? Can you take that to UBA? Because let them give us an answer.
We will give you an answer, but still to answer you, in my own view is, of course, by the time a guard is put at the ATM, there are things in terms of support he has been taken through. And like I began.
A guard?
A guard.
Okay.
A guard, you're guarding the institution there.
Your job is to make sure that when I'm transacting on my ATM, nobody is coming from outside. But not to come and stand with me to show me how.
But he could be your next person to help you, your immediate person. We are looking for support. If you go, for example, late in the night, or not even late in the night, you can go about the weekend.
Yeah.
The banks are closed.
Yes.
There is a guard. So there are customers who have actually asked the guard about a certain problem with the system. And the guard will tell you, I'm not aware that
surely,
the bank
Patricia,
is closed.
isn't that even a red flag that something is wrong with a bank's ATM system, and the only person I can ask is the guard, and the guard somehow knows? What if that guard decides that they won't help themselves to my money now?
So they are processed.
Okay, I have raised my issue. So,
Robert,
and your issue has been noted.
Let me jump in here.
Yeah.
Sometimes the one ATM may run out of money.
yeah.
And that is basic information which a guard can say to you, this one doesn't have money, this one has money. Sometimes they have helped me. So there are some simple things. However, there is also a part where some of our people need a little bit of what? Help. Which is where education comes in. Go ahead.
Yeah, so the education is continuous, and it can come from any angle. There are also incidences, and this is mainly in the rural, where one person is found at an ATM with about 10 ATM cards. Why? Because they have left the community and they've been entrusted with the ATM cards to go and get money for.
Yeah, like the elderly.
Yes.
Yes.
And that all is still education. Do not share, because that means you're sharing your PIN with me, who's going with the 10 ATMs, and you're trusting me anyway. But again, how much should we trust the people that we live with? So that's education that has to be continuous. It's not right for you to hand your PIN and ATM card to somebody else. And there are avenues that have been created within the communities by way of the bank agents that are currently on ground to mainly try and also address the concern that maybe the ATMs were far off, I didn't have enough transport to get there. So that's why some of these initiatives are coming up to at least support the customers be able to reach to the nearest point where they can access their money.
Okay, so since we're in the business of offering advice, let me also offer advice, which I have, some practices which I have seen, particularly amongst sort of the younger to slightly, people in their early life. I know some of you may be trying to impress your partners by texting them evidence that you've sent them mobile money And then to impress them even further, you leave the balance showing at the bottom as a screenshot that I have sent you 500,000, and then the balance you have there is 25 million plus. Well, you're telling the whole world. And then the other ones is, people are busy socializing in the night, and then he makes a payment using Momo Pay or Airtel Money. Then you leave the phone lying there to prove that you have a healthy mobile money balance. That's how you attract, and you don't even know the person you're trying to impress from John, and they might be the person who is going to take you in. My panel, thank you very much. We have come to the end of my time here. So I want to thank you very much for your afternoon and for setting aside time to come and help with an issue that's affecting a significant portion of our population, and people are being hit left, right, and center. I just want to make an appeal to the law enforcement agencies that when it comes to other crimes being committed with mobile devices, you are very efficient in enforcing measures. But when it comes to fraud, there seems to be a reluctance or even a very slow approach. And so that double standard is encouraging a lot of fraudsters. There are countries in this world where, because when you steal money using electronic methods, you leave a footprint. These people can be easily apprehended if the law enforcement agencies really wanted to do that. So thank you very much, especially to Mr. Richard Diego for hosting us. The meal was good. I am reliably informed that the chefing dishes are empty, which shows that all the people who are invited here have done a fantastic job. We look forward to going to Mr. Andrew Rugamba's place for the next session.
You're very welcome.
And you must make sure that the standards are surpassed, especially of the food. Thank you very much, and goodbye.